Hello, Therese. Welcome to the Recovering Entrepreneur Show. How you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to do this with you.
Oh, same here. I think I take it a little more personally with our little co-authoring group, and it's really exciting to get to share you girls with the world because I get to enjoy you at least once a week. So it'll be an adventure, and I get to share you with the world today. So do you mind kicking us off with maybe a personal introduction before we get into all the fabulous things you do in business?
Okay. So I am, I like to say I'm like a gypsy at heart. I've got a gypsy soul. I've been given crap for the word gypsy before, but that's what I am. Like, I've moved so much. My uncle jokes about like he's got an address book for everybody and then one for me. So basically I started like moving when I was 17. I moved as a young girl who was like always getting in trouble. And then as a single mom, now I'm doing it as a mom and wife. And I think I've settled, knock on wood. My husband doesn't believe me, but I think we have settled in France because this is the one place that feels like home.
Nice. Were you born in France?
No, I was born in Canada. And so I was born in Canada, in Ottawa, which is the capital. My mom didn't speak French and she called me Trace. And my dad only spoke to me in French and he called me Therese. And so that, kind of opened me up to cultures, but it's so weird because when people say like, what's your name? I'm like, what nationality are you?
So how do you present for my audience?
Therese.
Therese.
Or however is like pronounceable. Whatever.
I gotta get in that room and start working on my rolling R's. I'm 30 years out of practice of French from high school, or 20 years, long time anyway.
Oh, we'll get you all set up. Don't worry.
I'm pretty excited
before you get here.
Good stuff. Yeah. The trip next year will be amazing. So that is something I want you to share with the world. I'd love for you to tell everybody what you're up to and what your vision is, because it's more than just France. And you're just so worldly. You're like one of my worldly friends. So, and I'm probably attracted to you because I'm a nomad too, right? Like an ex-truck driver. I just go with the flow and I can't wait to just travel and get out of this apartment when the world opens.
And you've been doing a lot of that already too.
That was in the car. I'm ready for the world. Yeah.
We can only do so much with COVID, right?
Well, we'll get there. Maybe by the time we air this, everything will be back to normal.
Oh God, I hope so.
That's my optimism for the day. So, so tell everybody what you do and how. So it's kind of funny because we're clients of each other's, right? But tell how I'm a client of yours.
So I used to do language and cultural retreats, which obviously COVID did not suit whatsoever. And so I had to give it up. But I've got this huge affinity for France and I love getting people to travel. And, when you're excited about something, you just like, you share it with everybody. And so that's what I do naturally with travel and France. And I forget, it was one of the ladies in our writing group, actually, who kind of planted the seed of, well, why don't you just shift your business this way? And so since we can't travel in person, I've decided to get people to travel across France online with me. And this is something I've been doing like in person. I used to love bringing people to France so that they could see it through my eyes. I've met so many people that like, oh, Paris is so overrated and the people are rude and they can be, but there's like the shell that you have to break through. And once you see things so differently, and so that's what I want to share with people. And it's little details too. Like there's one of my favorite castles. Every time I bring people there, we do the tour backwards because it's one of the most famous castles, actually. It's Chanel. So it's the one with like the bridge that goes over the water. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
You've probably seen it. Anyway, and you start from the bottom and you go up. And on the top floor is where she spent like the last 8 years of her life in mourning. It's all black. It's all And so you see people like walk in and then walk out, you know? So we start with the depressing stuff and then we go down and we end off in like the kitchens and food and wine, and we end off on a good note. So I've started this group where I'm sharing like the hidden gems and the must-see spots and little language tidbits and food and recipes. And as much as I can share with you guys. And soon there's going to be cooking classes too.
Oh, wow. So that's pretty beautiful, trying to get people to have an experience online. So that really speaks to your entrepreneurial savvy. But before I even get into that, you said a couple things. I love the perspective about going backwards to forwards and the experience. That's just brilliant, in my opinion. And I had this philosophy when I lived in Kansas City. It was so funny. I can remember lecturing one of my favorite bartenders. And every time I'd have company, I would take them to all these gems around Kansas City. There was, beautiful places to see, arboretums, if I say that right, parks, all kinds of stuff. There was just so many things to do. And whether it was my 2-year-old cousin or my 30-year-old girlfriend or my 60-year-old uncle, there was something to do for everyone, sports. And I remember telling this bartender, and I told a lot of people in Kansas City, guys, you need to explore this like a tourist, because I had this fresh eyes. I didn't grow up there. I didn't take these things for granted, but there was so much that the city had to offer. And that's what your story reminds me of. And you made that correlation with Paris and perception. And I actually watched Emily in Paris to prepare for the trip to understand, because one of my partners has a little camera thing, the phone case that she has on the show. And then my friend from England is like, yeah, I lived in France. That's really what it's like. So I was like, well, what does that mean? So I watched the show, and I don't know that I count as culturally savvy yet, but
we'll
I like
get you there. We're going to turn you into a French person soon enough.
Okay. Well, creme brulee is like one of my favorite desserts. So I'm off to a good start, right? So, okay, I'm sorry I went off a little there, but I think it's really important. And I think that's what you're saying. If I'm hearing you right, you're saying you show people France from not just a tourist perspective, right? Can you share a little about that? Because I've heard you say things about food and castles and like how you would imagine giving a tour through France. So can you hit on some of the highlights, the fairy stuff, all the good
the fairy forest and stuff? Well, that's the thing. There's so many things that we just don't expect. And there's when I say hidden gems, okay, there's things that if you don't know it's there, you will never find it. Like in Paris, I remember there was once, like I found the most incredible cafe. And we went into this restaurant and saw that there was a terrace out back. Went to the terrace and we had lunch. And then I kind of saw like in a doorway, there was people coming and going. And I'm just really curious. And my husband says I'm nosy. So I follow up on these things.
Right.
And so where the people were like coming and going, because you could tell that they weren't going home. And so I went through, and there was this like gorgeous hallway that led to another courtyard, which was this exquisite cafe. That's like a whole building off of the street. Like there's no way you could get this. I don't even know if it has an address.
Wow.
And so there's these places like this. And then there's things that you don't expect. Like, France, you think of like the Eiffel Tower and, the Louvre and things like that. And I mean, the trip that we're taking together, we're going to the fairy forest. We're going to go to like Merlin's tomb. I rented a chateau. So we're going to be our own empresses or princesses or whatever you want to call us, because we have our own chateau. The owners are there because, they're going to make us like breakfast and dinner when we're there and stuff like that. And so it's really an experience that you just wouldn't do as a tourist, and it's not like, I don't know. I love hotels. Don't get me wrong, but hotels are good when you want like a weekend away, but when you're going, like for your case, like when you're going to take a 10-hour or an 11-hour flight or whatever the case is for you. Like, holy shit, get in the culture and experience it.
Yes, we did that when I went to Cambodia and Thailand this year. We actually stayed in people's houses in Cambodia, the locals' houses. It was a way to give back to the economy, but they did it as a source of income. And the home we stayed in, there were 6 of us. They put 6 of us up in their home. We each had our own bedroom, and we couldn't even communicate with each other because we didn't speak the same language. So it was all nonverbal communication, or we look at this book and share. But the memories, like that was one of my favorite nights. We crashed a Cambodian wedding, and we really got immersed in the culture. Right. And it was so fun because they're videoing us, we're videoing them, but we're all dancing together like we've known each other forever. And and I think I refer to my audience and to people as beautiful people. And I think when we get immersed in the culture, you see, I'm getting all excited too. When we get immersed, like we can see the beauty of the beautiful people, right? If we go in with our eyes open. Yeah. I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat at times, like with food or things that I'm not used to.
Just don't know what you're eating. It's so much easier that way.
Okay, fair enough. I have tried the escargot stuff. It's all really just about the butter, the way I can tell.
Yeah, but for food, I learned this too. Like, I don't ask anymore, because there was once we had a dinner, and had this meat. It was so good. Like, you always hear people say it melts in your mouth. Mm-hmm. I never understood it fully until we had this meal. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. What is it? Oh, it's cow tongue. I couldn't eat another bite. So I was like, screw it. I'm never going to find out again. I'm just going to enjoy.
Okay.
Until after the meal.
I might have to try that. I'm down with that.